the GDPR Act was implemented in May this year, and there's a lot being written about it. And I know you guys have been very busy with it. But do you feel that organizations are making a successful transition into setting themselves up to comply?
So there's a bit of a mixed bag, but I will say that today, I think everyone's aware of GDPR. I think people now know what it is. I think they know broadly what they need to do. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, and frankly, probably the law firms and the GDPR advisors haven't helped, because there's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn and social media about how much you need to worry about this stuff. And yes, there are things you need to do, but none of it should be that surprising, right? Keeping data secure, getting the right consents, documenting your processes, educating your employees. None of this should be surprising to someone operating a business in the 21st century.
What are some of the implications of GDPR for companies in Singapore?
The interesting thing with GDPR is it does have this extraterritorial effect. So it doesn't just apply if you have an office in the EU or if you're processing data there. It can also apply to companies in Singapore, outside of the EU, who are offering goods and services to people in the EU, or if they're monitoring the behavior of people in the EU. So if they're dropping cookies and tracking an individual for the purposes of online behavioral advertising, those sorts of things. So that's the first question, is does GDPR even apply? If you're PDPA compliant, you're probably also a long way towards being GDPR compliant. There are just some additional things that you need to do, like the data subject rights and some of the security stuff and some of the consent stuff. But generally speaking, you're already a long way down the track if you're PDPA compliant.
From a data protection standpoint, Singapore's always been quite ahead of most countries as we know it. But a lot of our customers and your customers are companies that operate region-wide. And across the region, a lot of different countries have different levels of maturity around dealing with data protection. Case in point being the new legislation that's being debated in India around the Data Protection Act. I mean, what's your view on that, Matt?
My view is that over the next 5 years, we will see data laws in the region level up to something like a GDPR level. I think that for better or for worse, GDPR is sort of the new normal for data laws. And a great example is India. I mean, so just recently, as you said, India has introduced a draft data protection bill. And in some ways, that looks a lot like GDPR. For example, there are the 4% of worldwide turnover fines. That's just been ported across directly from GDPR. A lot of the stuff around consent, a lot of the stuff around data subject rights, it looks a lot like GDPR. Actually, India's gone, unfortunately, I think, a little bit further with some very strict data localization rules. So the rules around whether you can transfer data outside of the country. But for better or worse, they've been inspired by GDPR in their approach to drafting new legislation. And I think we will see that in other countries in the region.
What has your experience been in terms of the kind of companies that have dealt quite well with this conundrum?
Well, funnily enough, it's actually not the big corporates with the big compliance functions. The companies that have taken to it most quickly are actually those that are what I would describe as digital first. So it's the companies who have data and digital in their DNA. They haven't come from a legacy of a different business model. They don't have legacy systems that they have to try and sort of reverse engineer compliance into. And they don't have the armies of compliance people, but they're building new businesses based on data and based on digital, I guess, a little bit like what you guys are doing over at Ecosystem. And I just think that it's companies that start with digital and start with data that are transitioning towards these new data laws actually faster, surprisingly, than some of the big corporates.
So Matt, apart from your 7-week-old baby, congratulations, by the way, apart from being a new father, can I ask you, what keeps you up at night?
I think in terms of some of the legal issues that keep me up at night, you've got to look at cybersecurity, right? I mean, there's more value in data than there's ever been before. more devices are connected than have ever been connected before, and that increases the attack surface. And with all of that value in data and all of those connected devices, there are opportunities for malicious actors, cyber criminals and the like, who want that data. It really is a matter of when rather than if for every single organisation on the planet. Everyone is going to be hacked at some point, whether they accept that or not. And it's not whether you're hacked, it's about how you respond to it. So the thing that keeps me up at night, I suppose, apart from my 7-week-old baby, is do our clients have in place the right processes to respond when those incidents occur? As I say, it's very much when rather than if. And it's about how you respond when it happens. And that's where I see such a variety of levels of sophistication from companies who are doing stress testing of their systems, penetration testing, they're doing war game scenarios where they get hacked and they're really, they are ready. And then I see clients who don't yet have a cybersecurity response plan. They haven't put in place a team yet to deal with cybersecurity risk. So, I guess that would be the big risk area that keeps me up at night.
Thank you for watching Ecosystem TV. I've been chatting with Matt Pollins, partner at CMS Law in Singapore.